In light of the desperate statistics on Vegas tourism growth in 2025, layoffs will probably no longer be a temporary event, but will gradually become full-time jobs for thousands of workers here. After the pandemic and seemingly explosive recoveries, Las Vegas entered a new period of uncertainty as AI, automation and layoffs spread to hotels, restaurants and casinos. A series of service staff, managers, technicians and marketers were swept away by a wave of chain layoffs. Those who remain live in constant fear when any email from the Human Resources Department could be the end of their career. Worse, finding a new job is now more difficult than keeping the old job. The recruitment market is muffled. Ghost jobs and endless interview processes leave workers in a state of fatigue and skepticism. Las Vegas, symbol of the American dream, is gradually becoming a symbol of professional exhaustion, where effort is no longer proportional to opportunity. In today's video, we will look back at the layoff crisis that is spiraling out of control in Las Vegas, and the real reason why no one can find a job anymore. Are you one of the group of people leading that wave of purges? Let's explore the answer now. Perhaps the past 6 months have been the time when the US job market has changed dramatically. But unfortunately, that change is not in the direction people once hoped. The pace of job creation is slowing to worrying levels, and for many in Las Vegas, being fired has become a full-time job. Previously, a person who lost his job could return to the market in just a few weeks. Now, many people are unemployed for more than a year, even though they send dozens of applications every day. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, only 73,000 new jobs were created in July, the lowest since 2020. The previous months were revised down by more than 250,000 jobs, showing that the economy is running out of steam. Similarly in Las Vegas, when in just 1 month, more than 4,300 jobs disappeared completely. On paper, everything still seems fine. Nevada confidently announced that the unemployment rate has decreased from 6.0% to 5.7%. A bright spot in the statistics table. But behind that number is a desperate darkness, as the labor force participation rate is steadily decreasing by, meaning thousands of people have given up, are no longer looking for work, and so they're no longer counted as unemployed. The tourism industry in 2025 is forecast to grow again, but that no longer brings jobs like before. Large hotel groups, from Caesars, MGM, Wynn to Fontainebleau, simultaneously carried out large-scale staff reduction, citing restructuring and cost optimization. However, behind those technical phrases is a cold truth. Humans are being replaced by machines. AI, kiosks, and automated service systems are gradually taking over the places that once made Vegas its identity, from reception, rooms, service, to technicians and security. Instead of expanding job opportunities as before, corporations are shifting to serving the upper-class guest group, maximizing profits per stay, while the middle class is excluded from the business model. As a result, thousands of workers, despite having more than 10 years of experience in the industry, cannot find new jobs in the city they were once in. Some experts call this phenomenon Vegas layoff loop, a spiral of layoffs with no way out. Businesses cut employees, people lose income, consumption declines, and then businesses continue to cut back. The rate of people leaving the workforce is rising sharply, a form of hidden unemployment that statistics cannot measure, where thousands of people have stopped looking for work out of desperation. The form of dismissal also changed. Online meetings via Google Meet, lasting less than 5 minutes without receiving any reason or justification. Some people have been unemployed for more than a year, submitting 30 applications a day without receiving a response. This phenomenon is not limited to Las Vegas. From technology to service to manufacturing, layoffs sweep across the United States. Many people compare that the current situation is worse than the whole of 2008. Not because of the scale of the crisis, but because of its invisibility. Unemployment is noiseless, no protests, only locked doors, and never again has a chance to be opened in millions of houses. On social networks, people who lose their jobs form online communities like Layoff on Substack or Discord, where they share their survival experiences in the jobless profession. Former strangers now become colleagues in a world where work no longer exists. Las Vegas, symbol of the city that never sleeps, is gradually taking on a different meaning. Behind the blinding light of the Strip is a city of people awake from anxiety, living in a state of suspension between work and unemployment, between desire and despair. If this is the price of growth, perhaps what America needs most right now is not more light, but a little humanity and trust in the way we treat workers. At one time, workers in Las Vegas believed that just by losing their morning job, they could find a new job the next day, like replacing a losing bet with a new game. This city once lived by that belief, that all failures were temporary, that with just one more effort, another door would open. But today, that miracle has disappeared. A middle-aged man recounted, "Even in 2008, when the economy fell to the bottom, I was still rehired within 24 hours. Now, even though hundreds of job applications have been sent, the world is still as silent as the Nevada desert after midnight. Those who once boasted of their craftsmanship, decades of experience, now have to do the seemingly crazy thing to get noticed. Hang the Open to Work banner on LinkedIn like a will work for food board of the digital era, where human self-esteem is compressed into an avatar frame. Many others choose to make TikTok videos, social media posts, or advertise themselves as an influencer, hoping to viral to be seen. In an economy where opportunity is determined by algorithms, workers are forced to turn themselves into products. The job market turns into a digital beauty contest where real skills are overwhelmed by images. Interviews via Zoom or Google Meet were once considered convenient, has now become a symbol of inhumanity. Recruiters use automatic screening software, while candidates use AI to edit their voices and even create virtual faces to pass the first round. Human-to-human dialogue disappears. Instead, there is an exchange between two artificial systems. The job market becomes a true illusion. Workers called for a return to face-to-face interviews, because only in a handshake and a real look did they feel they still existed. Before 2009, almost every interview took place in person. Nowadays, just one automated email is enough to reject hundreds of people. Technology makes humanity disappear with just one click. The older generation feels left behind. They are not used to marketing themselves with videos, hashtags, or AI-optimized profiles. Young people are exhausted. They have to learn how to sell their own image to be seen. Applying for a job now is like playing slot machine. You don't know if you lost because of bad luck or because the system is programmed for you to lose. In Vegas, we're once built on the belief that anyone can win if they dare to bet. Now, workers are betting their livelihoods on emotionless algorithms. They drive food delivery cars, freelance, take temporary jobs just to get by. But all of that work is just like a thin bandage on a bleeding unemployment wound. The mentality of desperation normalizes the spread. Everyone knows that it can be cut at any time, so no one dares to dream about the future. The miracles that helped Americans stand up after the 2008 crisis, faith, opportunity, the ability to start over, are now just a distant memory. Las Vegas, a city built on illusion and chance, now reflects that in the job market, everything still sparkles in the distance but disappears as it approaches. And when the mirage, symbol of magic and hope, officially closes, it not only marks the end of a hotel, but also buries the ultimate illusion that in America, just try and get job. On paper, America is still in a state of full employment. The national unemployment rate is just around 3.9%, a figure hailed as evidence of economic health. But behind that brilliant picture, millions of workers have disappeared from statistics, not because they found a job, but because they gave up. In just 3 months, from April to July 2025, the US workforce shrank by more than 790,000 people. Official reports explain it is due to immigration tightening policies and an increase in the number of retirees. But when you ask people who are submitting dozens of job applications every week without receiving a single response, they will say something else. We are still here, just no one wants to hire us. A paradox is taking place right in the heart of America. Businesses complain of a shortage of workers, and people say they cannot find work. Both sides are right, and both are stuck in a system that has lost its humanity. The current recruitment system is controlled by algorithm and automatic profile filtering, is causing both recruiters and candidates to fail. Companies say doesn't have enough good people, while their own software is eliminating real people for not matching keywords. Those who once believed in the logic of the market now only see the insensitivity of machines. An economy that is still okay reportedly causes real people to lose trust. Experts call this jobless prosperity, prosperity without work. A society where GDP, stocks and profits increase, but the quality of life and opportunities for workers fall freely. The very feeling that everything is fine on the paper is the mist that makes people believe that the economy is recovering. But when we look closer, we see the opposite reality. Behind every percentage growth are thousands of people who have stopped looking for work, thousands of families living on credit, and thousands of career dreams buried in automatic recruitment gateways. Unemployment today is not just about losing a job, but about the invisibilization of people in a system that only counts data, not pain. And perhaps the biggest tragedy lies not in the bad numbers, but in the beautiful numbers that make an entire country lull itself into thinking everything is okay. Nowadays, Americans are not just looking for jobs, they are chasing ghosts. The phenomenon of ghost jobs is spreading throughout the United States, and Las Vegas, city once built on the illusion, is now the focus of a national scam. A series of job postings are posted on major platforms such as Indeed, LinkedIn or ZipRecruiter, but most of them do not exist. Many companies post news just to heat measurement market, try to see if the labor supply is still abundant or not, or simply to create images, is growing strongly. As a result, hundreds of thousands of people applied for virtual vacant positions, spending months waiting for responses that never came. Some people even just receive automatic emails saying positions have been filled. But in reality, it never existed. On the contrary, a large part of the job postings are intentional scams. People who are desperately looking for work become targets of sophisticated tricks, being asked to pay training fees, provide personal information, and even social security numbers. For many people, unemployment is no longer the only pain, but the humiliation of being taken advantage of on their own survival needs. Modern recruitment systems are so irrational that AI is recruiting AI. Companies use software to automatically filter profiles by keyword. Job seekers use ChatGPT, Jasper, or automatic CV creation tools to pass screening. The result was a battle between the two algorithms, where humans were eliminated from the first round. Job market, an expert commented, has become a dialogue between two machines, and neither side is really listening. Some human resources experts called for returning to face-to-face interviews to restore the human element in recruitment. But the online trend has become the standard too fast, too cheap, and too insensitive to reverse. Real encounters are replaced by automated emails, interviews become cold video calls, and rejections are sent using mass-copied text samples. The job market is now like Vegas itself, brilliant from a distance, but dissipating as it approaches. Exists in numbers, in reports, in programmed algorithms, but there is no more room for real people, for real emotions, for a handshake between two people. From dream job, now becomes an ironic concept. In a world where millions of people submit resumes to bogus positions, the dream is no longer to be hired, but just to be responded to. And that is perhaps the cruelest illusion of the digital era, when the job market is still lit, but no one can really step inside. For many years, job hopping has been considered a symbol of dynamism, the fastest way to increase income, to rise to the middle class. But in the current context, changing jobs means betting on livelihoods. One wrong move can cause you to fall off the board, and in a frozen labour market, there is no other table to sit at. According to intra-industry reports, the benefits of job transfers have all but disappeared. No one dares to resign, no one gets promoted, and performance reviews are now just a procedure. Companies stop hiring, employees stop, market into a puddle of prison water that doesn't move, doesn't rotate, just waits to gradually evaporate. One analyst calls this the economy of shrinkage, where people no longer move forward but just cower to protect themselves. In Las Vegas, this phenomenon is even more pronounced. From hotels to casinos, from service staff to technicians, all in the same state, holds its breath, waiting for the next storm. This passivity slows down the entire social machine. When no one dares to leave, opportunities for the unemployed also disappear. When everyone is just worried about keeping their jobs, no one dares to innovate. And that's the paradox. An economy that seems like is stable on the surface, but is actually collapsing out of fear. In a time when the middle class no longer dreamed of advancement, the American dream was scaled back to the simplest thing: a job enough to pay the bill. Vegas used to be a place where people came to change their lives. Today, it is where thousands of people are trying to hold on just not to lose their lives. Amidst America's abundance of degrees, a heartbreaking paradox is spreading. For the first time in history, the unemployment rate of male graduates is on par with those without degrees. The degree used to be a symbol of opportunity, of status, of a guaranteed future. But in 2025, it becomes a burden of a debt, even an unfulfilled promise. Thousands of highly qualified people fall into the state of overqualified, learning too much for jobs that no longer exist. Industries that were once hailed as hot, such as technology, business, and finance, have peaked. Entry-level positions are cut, replaced by software, automation, and AI. Many young bachelors now have to hear the bitter saying again: "We need someone with experience, is not someone with a degree." In a report by How Money Works, the host commented, "We are living in a time when learners are unemployed." They followed all the advice of the previous generation. Studied hard, got a good degree, borrowed money to pursue their dream. But when they graduated, the world changed. What is promised turns into an illusion. Low wages, little work, high debt, and a system that leaves no room for them. On the contrary, people who learn trades or do craft work, from carpenters, chefs, to street artists, have a more stable life. They are not replaced by AI, do not live in an emotionless recruitment cycle, and most importantly, they work for passion, not for fame. A new generation is realizing that the true value lies not in the wall-mounted diploma, but in its ability to adapt and create its own livelihood. But for millions of young people, it's too late to come back. They are paying the price for degrees worth hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of debt that they cannot pay. Some had to leave their apartments and move back in with their parents. Others, who are more alone, turn their car into a shelter. In Walmart parking lots around the suburbs of Henderson or North Vegas, it's easy to see old sedans with window curtains, suitcases, and laptops in the back seat. It's not nomads, but bachelors, engineers, technicians who were taught that high school will never go hungry. When jobs disappear, not only do workers lose income, an entire city begins to disintegrate. Offices that used to light up all night are now empty. Shops are closed in droves. Eateries that used to be crowded with customers are now left with only fans and unpaid bills. When work stopped, local economic blood also stopped flowing. On a national scale, this slide has begun to show. Washington State, one of America's fastest growing centers, lost more than 11,300 construction jobs in just 1 year. Seattle recorded an office vacancy rate of nearly 30%, a record high number that caused the entire downtown area to turn into a ghost urban area. Buildings that were once symbols of prosperity are now covered in dust, while small business, that lived off the daily influx of commuters, went bankrupt one after another. The impact spreads like a domino effect. When workers lose their jobs, they also lose the ability to consume. The salary's gone, but the bill still comes. Shops dropped in revenue, restaurants had to cut staff, and small companies that were the mainstay of the local community were forced to close. Each release board on the glass panel is a quiet farewell to a dream that once existed. Meanwhile, personal debt is climbing to unprecedented levels. Total American credit debt has exceeded $1.21 trillion, according to the most recent financial reports. Some people use up to 28 credit cards, owe more than 70,000 USD, just to maintain a minimum of life. They borrow unsecured loans to pay off card debt, then continue to borrow new loans to pay off old loans, a spiral of borrowing to live, where the future is mortgaged every day. In Las Vegas, which used to be a show of prosperous America, those gaps are now more visible than ever. Parking lot turned into shelter for the homeless. The commercial areas were silent. Church and community center, used to be a place to share and help each other, had to close due to lack of funding. The city of light becomes the city of silence. Those who still have work are exhausted to keep their seats. Those who lose their jobs are in debt and isolated. Everyone is afraid. Everyone shrinks. A society where people only worry about survival is no longer a community of, but a collection of individual worries. If in the past, America was built on the idea that per worker was the brick of the nation, then today, when those bricks cracked, the whole building shook. If work was once the thread that binds us together, then when it breaks, what will keep America standing? Las Vegas still shines every night, but that light is no longer a symbol of faith. It's like a layer of lipstick covering the deep cracks of the US economy, where workers are no longer counted, only optimized remains. The streets that used to be filled with laughter are now silent. The people who built this city now have to sleep in their cars right under the neon bulbs they once lit. Unemployment is no longer a phase. It has become a state of life, where everyone tries to appear busy, tries to believe that they still have a chance, while the system has stopped listening. Casinos are still counting money, hotels are still hanging signs of out of rooms, and the government is still announcing an encouraging unemployment rate. But in the midst of those lines of data, there is a reality that no one dares to say directly, that millions of people are slowly disappearing from the workforce, and with them the disintegration of the community, of trust, of the American dream. If Vegas, city of opportunity, also has no room left for people to work, then where else in America still maintains faith in dream? And if the people who created this light now had to live in its darkness, would America still have the courage to look back at itself? The content in this video is developed for the purpose of analyzing, commenting on, and providing journalistic information. Society, based on public data, official reports, and reliable sources from the Bureau of Labor Statistics United States, BLS, research organizations, and employee sharing. The video is not intended to attack, defame, or hold accountable any individual, organization, or agency. All comments, examples, and narratives are used to reflect the real picture of economic and social life in Las Vegas and the United States during the current period. All opinions, thoughts, and feelings in the video belong to the host and production team and do not represent the official views of any organization or financial institution. Audiences are encouraged to consult more independent sources of information for a more comprehensive perspective. This video is not for investment recommendations, politics, or career advice.